you remember the Geek.
Love the Geek.
Kevin Allen, my man, the Geek. Geek! Little different now. You used to be on the phone, and now we get to see the Geek in person.
Little visual. What's going on, cuz? What's
What
up,
do you
fellas?
say, buddy? Say hello to VG Violations Greg.
What's up, Geek?
Violation. Greg, what's going on, my man?
I like he's got the gamer kind of nerd geeky seat going on behind him, high end. Yeah. This guy's legit.
No, he's a legit geek.
Yeah.
He is. He is the greatest fantasy guy. He, from top to shelf, he's got his own app.
Yeah, I
The
remember.
Sharp
Yeah,
app.
remember.
Like he's got this dude exudes fantasy football.
It's all we do all year. Fantasy football, nonstop, off season, on season. It never ends over here. And August is the time, as you know. This is the time to get ready.
So wait, real quick, tell people your first foray into this thing. You have a fantasy, basically website, which is incredible, where you got all the analytics called DFS Army.
That's right. We started in the DFS space, so attacking DraftKings, FanDuel, those type of games, and now there's a whole bunch of other games that have evolved, but on daily fantasy sports. So we love to dive into the numbers, analytics, projections, models, all that good stuff. And we're all in our little basements with our visors on, crunching numbers all throughout the year to help you guys win your league.
I love it. You are straight out of Central Casting. It's fantastic, Geek. Fantastic. So let's get to it, right? A lot of people, they're trying to figure out, all right, well, we got our drafts and we're ready to go, and now they're starting to do their homework because the date is in the book for their draft. Help them out. Let's start off with the obvious, and let's look at the first couple rounds. Maybe you have a first round mock that you like to share.
Yeah, I can. We'll go through some rankings, but I'll give you some general strategies for the first couple rounds.
Yeah.
So this year we have 3 ultra premium running backs that sort of, whenever you take them, you're going to be in pretty good shape. It starts with Christian McCaffrey, but then I have Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson as numbers 2 and 3 in that order. All 3 of those guys are worth a pick in the first round, with Christian McCaffrey being the number 1 overall fantasy player this year, and the other 2 kind of coming in between some of those elite wide receivers. The elite wide receiver group starting actually the number 1 wide receiver this year. You ready for this? We have a new leader in 2024, and that's CeeDee Lamb. He has overtaken pretty much even Tyreek Hill and of course Justin Jefferson as the top dog for 2024. So it's your draft order is probably going to start with Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb. We're going to look at Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. Some order of that. Then we're going to take a look at those 2 running backs, Hall and Bijan. And then after that, we get to the second half of round 1. Amon-Ra St. Brown shows up, and it gets a little different. I've got Garrett Wilson rising up this season with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has called Garrett Wilson one of the best wide receivers he's ever played.
You love the Jets. Let's also, we see in the background, he's a true blue. This is why I love the Geek, because he's a New Yorker, right? But he's not a Giant guy. The Jet people are more like Philadelphia people.
The chat's not too happy. They're like, what's this Jet poster in the background? Boo this man, Provolone Johnson.
No, we all bleed green together. Come on, guys. It's solidarity. Solidarity with the Philly crowd.
For future appearances, we got to black out the Jets thing, all right? You got to take that out, man. We're a provincial town.
Because the brand is this. If you're a Jets fan, you had to be obsessed with fantasy football because you're not watching the terrible football.
Right.
And you can't really get enjoyment out of watching such a horrible – it's more of a comedy than it has been. I mean, maybe this year we'll turn it around.
Listen, my heart bleeds for you guys because you think about the Jets and you think about, how many playoffs do you remember in your lifetime?
I mean, 86, like Mark Sanchez got a fair one.
Dude. Al Toon was the receiver.
Al Toon.
Yeah. the worst part, cuz when we went to the playoffs, you had no hope. You knew, like Mark Sanchez took us to the playoffs, and I was like, this isn't going to go very far. We get lucked our way in with Parcells. It's been a rough run.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, all right. So you like Garrett Wilson? How about your if you quarterbacks? Where do quarterbacks go? And how do you rank them?
So this season, first of all, I'm going to give the cheat code out, of course, as I always like to.
You always give good cheat codes. Yeah.
The way you win in season-long fantasy football has always been picking a late quarterback that works out well. A few years ago on the show, I was talking about Jalen Hurts. You guys all knew it. Running backs that can run score better than ones that can't. It's just that simple. If you remember Anthony Richardson last season, he only played a couple games, but they were glorious in terms of his fantasy production. We have a player like that this year. But starting off, basically what happens with the quarterback position this year is you hit about the end of round 3, and that's where the Jalen Hurtses, the Josh Allens start to come off the board, Mahomes. My suggestion is don't fall for that. Continue to take stud players. Your Isaiah Pacheco is around at that time. Amari Cooper is somebody you can take there, or top end tight ends like Mark Andrews or Kelsey or Trey McBride. They're all there when people start to take the quarterbacks. My suggestion, and I'm in 26 drafts right now, by the way, so I am doing this.
26, dude.
Just right this moment. If I look at my slow draft, so I just pop in every couple hours, make my picks. But my suggestion is don't take the quarterback there. Wait. Anthony Richardson is available a couple rounds later, and he is a beast with his legs. But I've got an even better one for you, cuz. If you really want to go all in on weight on quarterback, Jaden Daniels, the new quarterback for the Commanders.
Yep.
He's got all of the statistics
I
that
like
tell you
Jalen
this
Daniels,
guy,
yeah.
fantasy goal. He's good with the arm. I would say better with the arm than Anthony Richardson. More experienced as a passer. The running is insane. So he is effectively going as QB 11 or 12 this year. If you're in a 10-team league, a 12-team league, you can be the last player in your league to take a quarterback and lose no edge from the quarterback position. Dak Prescott is going one before him. I know we hate Dak in Philly, but he's also going to be really, really good this year in fantasy. So either one of those two guys allows you to wait till the end of your draft. And what ends up happening is you have a positional edge at whatever else you took in round 3 when they all took the quarterback. So I get to have what I call a luxury tight end when everybody else doesn't. So that's the key piece of strategy, I think, for 2024. There are effectively 2 quarterbacks late that you could take that are probably going to be good.
Daniels is interesting because I loved him at LSU. I mean, he gets the ball out. You're right, he runs. And, like, they're all in on him. So it's like, here you go. Here you go, kid. Like, have at it. So, I mean, I like the idea of going with a rook because their defense isn't great. So, he'll get a lot of garbage points too. You can see that. I think that's a sharp
McLaurin and Dotson are good receivers.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
There's a lot of leeway. There's a lot of room for error. Yeah, there's all this room for error, even if he's terrible. By the way, this is what's so great about running quarterbacks. I always talk about it. Even if he's not very good, he's still putting up 18, 20 fantasy points a week just because he's running around out there and he accidentally runs for a touchdown. The less good you are as a quarterback, the more likely you are to try to run in the red zone, right?
Yeah.
What's the last thing that a young quarterback learns how to do? Throw a touchdown from 5 yards out. That is the hardest thing in football. Aaron Rodgers can do it. He's been doing it for 20 years. But younger quarterbacks have a hard time with it. Even the sainted Jalen Hurts is a big fan of the tush push because who wants to throw at the 2-yard line or the 1-yard line? So these guys get a lot of touchdowns.
I love Jay Daniels, and I love Dak makes a lot of sense only because at some point they got to get the CD Lamb contract fixed. So you got to figure that happens before the or else their season's just done. What else? Anybody else? Any of the rookies that you like? Is there guys that you're looking at?
I'm so happy you asked about the rookies, cuz Yes. I like the rookies this year. I think I'm higher on some of the rookies than what your draft mates will be, which is another place where I'm effectively like I end up with. I'll give you a couple names. Of course, Marvin Harrison, great top 10, top 12 pick right now. There's really no target competition on Arizona. There's nothing. There's no one else there. He's going to get all of the targets. There's a tight end on the team. So Marvin Harrison Jr. steps into WR1. Similarly, and I know you're going to hate this name, Malik Neighbors, New York Giants, is way underrated in terms of where he's currently going in drafts compared to where he should be going.
You're right.
What do the Giants do? They don't even have Saquon Barkley anymore. What's up, Eagles? Right? They don't have it. How bad is, Danny Jones is not that bad. He can deliver the football to a wide receiver that is good. So, I mean, you don't need a good quarterback.
He stinks.
It's not that good, but he's good enough to produce fantasy glory for Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is going way too late for a WR1. And then I'm going to give you a name you may or may not be thinking about. And this guy is my favorite of them all. Ladd McConkey.
Wow.
Wide receiver.
Ladd McConkey.
McConkey. Okay. First of all, this kid's statistics are unbelievable. I don't want to say like he is fast, shockingly fast for his size and makeup. Did not have the most productive college career, but there were some excuses for that.
Well, he had injuries. He was injured.
A lot of injuries, a lot of issues like that. But the talent is crazy good. He looks to be stepping into the Keenan Allen role in the Chargers offense. I don't buy that the Chargers are going to magically transform into an exclusively running team with Gus Edwards as the lead back. I'm sorry. Gus Edwards cannot carry any sort of a team.
Yeah, you got a great quarterback.
And they have a great quarterback. This idea, there's this sort of thought going around that the Chargers are magically transformed. They're going to run and only run. And I get it. The coach and the offense coordinator love to run the football. But Ladd McConkey is looking like Puka Nacua 2.0.
Dude, I think he's right. What don't you like about McConkey?
Phil McConkey, one of my most hated Giants players ever. Okay, I can't get past it.
All right. Oh,
I'm out. I'm out on all McConkeys forever.
Okay, but he's right about the spot with the Chargers. And listen, Georgia was stocked. All right, they had a ridiculous tight end. They had two ridiculous backs. They had receivers galore. So his ball distribution was down because of that and the injuries. He's spot on with McConkey. I think that's a great pick.
Good luck with McConkey.
Just remind, like, who else do they have there? I like Palmer, the other kid, the other wide receiver over there. Yeah. But he's been hurt a lot, and he plays a very specific role, a little more of a deep ball
down
threat.
The field, yeah.
He's not a route runner.
Right.
McConkey's going to be in the slot. He's going to play the Keenan Allen role. And we might get, I'm telling you, Puka 2.0 is the comparison for me.
Yeah.
And I have him in every.
And you get him at the end. You get him at the end of the draft.
Yeah, he's later. I mean, he's moving. I don't even know because I always nab him so quick in every draft I'm in. I don't know where he might fall. But in general, that's a guy you want on your team this year, especially PPR. Think of what Keenan Allen carried teams last season.
I like that.
He's a young version of that. Let's hope he stays healthy. I don't know about any health issues, but assuming we get a healthy year out of him, I think he's going to smash. I think he's going to be Puka of 2024.
I like it. BG.
Yeah. Well, good luck.
All right.
Hey, what about our guys here? Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
Where does he slide in here? Where would you take him?
Jalen Hurts, I have him ranked as the #1 overall quarterback this year.
Wow.
So, when you look at overall rankings, some people have him ahead of Allen. Some people have him just behind Josh Allen. That he's going in the beginning or towards the end of round 3. So I will say this about Hurts. He definitely appeared to have a bit of a down year in 2023. I've heard there were some injury things that were happening, maybe a shoulder banged up for most of the year or something like that. So you do want to see a little bit of that bounce back to the 2022 form that he had. But I love Jalen Hurts. He runs tush push. I would actually ask you guys what your thoughts are on having brought in Saquon, and now will they use Hurts as often around the goal line, or is there some plan to try to keep him healthier by maybe using the running back? I'm curious there.
No, actually, I think he's going to be used more in the run game. The shoulder thing was accurate. He had a knee. He was banged up. He kind of scaled back out of the run game. I think the plan is to use him more in the run game. Now, Barkley is going to get a lot of touches, right? He'll throw the ball more. He never threw the ball to the backs, so he'll throw the ball more to Barkley under Kellen Moore. But yeah, look with that offense. Again, their line is going to be as good. They're not going to take a huge hit, even though they lost Kelsey. So I mean, they should be potent, and he should have a good year.
I'm going to predict that we get a big bounce back year. Remember how after the Rams made the Super Bowl, they kind of had that mediocre year afterwards, and then they bounced back strong the next. I could see that happening with the Eagles this year, sort of that sort of reverberation, bounce back, really, really strong year for the Eagles offense in general. Another guy on the Eagles who I'm interested in is Devontae Smith, who, again, not the greatest fantasy season in 2023, probably a lot to do with some of the shoulder issues and some of that with Hurts. Came on strong late in the season, so I still believe in the Slim Reaper.
Yeah, he's so underrated. Actually,
yeah. Hey, Geek, we were discussing Dallas Goedert earlier in the show. Where do you have him ranked in fantasy tight ends?
Goddard, I currently have him as my TE12, so he's just at the back end of the tight ends you want as kind of a first round or as a TE1, like a starter on your fantasy team. But Goddard is definitely not a priority tight end, meaning you could take him. He could be the last tight end taken if you're in a friends and family type draft. He's the last. So if you're waiting on tight end, he's that guy that's hanging out there alongside with names like Ferguson, Brock Bowers, and maybe David Njoku as sort of that third tier of tight end. Goddard has been more of a 4 to 6 target guy, and that just limits you in terms of where you're going to, how much you can score compared to maybe the McBrides, Kelseys, and Mark Andrews guy types who are more of 6 to 10 target tight ends. So Goddard in that second group absolutely broke slates. Even last year, I think there was a week where he put up 35 fantasy points, but for the most part, the scoring was kind of pedestrian, nothing special relative to the other tight ends.
Yeah, I love it. All right, Geek. Tell us how to get a hold of you for the Sharp app. You got all kinds of stuff. And if people want any kind of fantasy advice, the whole thing, this begins the run, right? Like we'll have you on again before the season, and then you're going to be on every week.
Let's go. I love it. For anybody who has questions, fantasy football advice, who do I trade? Who do I sit? Who do I start? You can always hit me up at @FootballGeek on Twitter, at @FootballGeek. And of course, right now at DFS Army, if you're into playing daily fantasy football, which is my forte, at DFS Army, we have code NFL 2024. We got a big discount for our season-long NFL packages, so check out DFSArmy.com. And Sharp app, of course, if you're into betting on sports at all, our focus on the Sharp app is props and our Proptimizer tool. So it's a spectacular tool to help you just bet on props, takes our projection models, compares it to all the sports books, and kind of shows you the best place to go and where the edges are for player props.
Love it. Love it. Geek, it's great to have you back, buddy.
We all silly like the mayor.